Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first episode of Behind the Wheel. We have Sam with us today, and today we're going to speak about the do's, the don'ts, and the first times of joining an HPDE track day. Let's get started. Well, Sam.
Yes, hello.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I am a driver, and I'm also now part of the HOD staff. So
I like it.
It's really been the best of both worlds because when you're so passionate about something, you really want to be involved in every aspect of it, or at least I think so. So it's been really fun just to be driving and learning and improving, and also being able to do all the stuff on the back end too, making friends. And I think what's nice about HOD is that it's such a family kind of oriented environment that it's fun from registration to driving on the track and in the paddock. It's been a blast.
What made you decide you wanted to get more involved with, I guess, what people normally don't see, right? Behind the scenes. So, I mean, everybody sees the good. They show up at the track event. Everybody's happy, having a good time. Everything's flowing. But what they don't see is the 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months before the event, or even the hour before registration opens, right? Where everybody's going crazy. So what would make you want to be involved into that hectic part?
Yeah, it's just, I think what makes me want to be involved is just the experiences that I've had at the track with HOD. You know, you go to different events, there's different organizations, there's different experiences. So when you have a really great experience, I think it makes you want to give back, and it makes you want to see everything from start to finish, from A to Z. And something that's so organized, it's worth the effort. It's worth taking and putting in a lot of work for that end result. When I first went to HOD, I didn't work with HOD. I wasn't a part of the staff. I wasn't part of registration. And I saw how well run and well set up everything was, that I was like, wow, I have to see more of this. How do they do what they do? Versus maybe other organizations who you're left waiting, or you're like, all right, what next? What do I do? Who's there to support me if I need support or if I have questions? And those little things make a track day what it is. When you have someone to support you, when you have encouragement, when you have someone just in your corner, it makes the day so worthwhile and so enjoyable.
And you stumbled upon us, right? Like,
yeah,
it was Lime Rock. Lime Rock was your first event?
Yes.
So you just stumbled across, hey, I want to go to Lime Rock. This group is going to Lime Rock.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up. I remember you showing up with your gas cans in the front seat. Lost, driving around. Where do I park? What's going on? So that was your first Hooked on Driving event.
Yes.
And did you come with anybody that you knew?
I just had an instructor that I had been working with. I kind of followed him around, and I literally did stumble upon Lime Rock because other organizations too maybe don't do that many track events. They don't have as many to offer. So when I saw that HOD was doing Lime Rock, I had never done Lime Rock before. And part of what I love is going to a new track and learning that track and trying to master as well as you can a new track. So when I saw that offering, I was like, okay, I want to do this. I talked to an instructor that I had at the time, and they were like, let's go. And I said, hell yeah, let's do it.
And were you just starting out driving then a lot, or were you still in like that honeymoon period where I'm going every single weekend, no matter where anybody is, I'm jumping around, I'm going every weekend, I'm putting as many miles on as I can? And I kind of call that like the honeymoon period, right? Because once you do it for 2, 3, 4 years, you start getting more picky and choosy, or like, I don't really like that track that much, so I'm avoiding it. But that first initial year, I'll say, it's like every weekend we're hitting the track until you start watching your bank account go lower and lower and lower and lower, right? And you soon find out really quick that it gets expensive fast.
Yeah. For me, when I went to Lime Rock, I was probably doing anywhere from 1 to 3 events a year. So in the beginning stages, right, I did my first track day, and I was like bit by the bug, like they say. I was like, okay, like that. I think that year I was like, all right, I need to go to more. I need to book like 3 more after that. But I started seeing, of course, right, you have the track and you have your own car expenses. You have a hotel if you're traveling far. So that kind of made me not as able to do as many as I wanted to. But when I found, ones that I liked, I saved up for it. And I said, this is the next one I'm going to. This is worth it. So Lime Rock was on that list for me. And I wasn't at that point yet where I was going to as many as I wanted to. So it was really special to go to a new track, A, that I've never been to, and B, to be able to just really pick and choose what I wanted.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but your first few track experiences definitely probably weren't the greatest because of the vehicle that you were in.
Yes.
Which led to a new vehicle that you got. So tell us about that. What vehicle did you start in? You can tell us the experience you had with the vehicle if you would like. I think a lot of people with those vehicles have the same experience.
Yes.
And then what you went to and why. Why did you go to that? And do you plan on staying with that vehicle, or what's...
Yeah, that's a good question. Hits me where it hurts a little bit, but I started out with a 2018 Subaru WRX, which is now my daily. I was tracking that car and I was just learning, the basics. And in a car like that, you want to put your trust into it. You're a little nervous at first, right? You're like, how much can I push this car? And is this car going to take it? And that car is all-wheel drive. So yes, it could take it, but I think sometimes it was a little squirrely. And being a Subaru person and just knowing about Subarus, maybe there's a ticking time bomb in that engine bay. Involved. So I did have a few engine issues and things that I was seeing were costly. And I was like, this isn't great. And my instructor at the time drove an E46 M3 and I was, full like Japanese, like Tokyo drift, like no way I'm not getting, a different car. But
the anime girl decals, that's what we talk about.
No way. It's not to that extreme. But yeah, I was really into the Japanese, and I was thinking, what can I get? I love this car. I love my car. I don't want to step foot in something else. But I ended up stepping foot in something else and falling in love with it, which was an E36 M3 BMW, 1995. So it's older, and it was. I almost love it more though, because you're actually controlling more of the car versus sometimes a newer car, you see these systems that take care of everything for you, right?
Yeah.
So there's something to that. There's something to an older car that it's just such a solid car though. It's so low, it's so planted, it's so solid that it may be rear wheel drive too, but I feel like it does everything that you want it to on the track.
It's a great chassis. It really is a great chassis. Well, I store your car in the winter,
you
right?
Do.
So I drive it when I put it in, and I drive it when I get it back out. And that led to me buying one, right? So it was, I fell in love with the car too, loved the feel of it, so I bought one as well.
Yep.
But not to rub salt in a bad wound, but you really skipped through the whole few issues with the Subaru.
Oh, okay. We have to go in depth.
I think they were a little bit deeper than a few issues.
Yes. In the moment, it's very upsetting, I think, when you love a car so much and you put a lot into it. Like every crazy kind of Subaru tuner and modder, it's just, you want to do everything that you can possibly afford, right? You're like, let me get the suspension, let me get the, tuning up to however fast I can make it. And is it so reliable after that? I mean, that's debatable. So
and you quickly learned, right? There's a big difference from, I'd say, where most of us all started, which was the car show scene when we were younger in high school, right? Let's modify our cars, let's go and have cruise nights and stuff like that. But when you start putting these cars on the track, they're seeing things that they've never seen on a street before, right? So you learn the weak spots really, really fast.
Yes, and my weak spots, my first track day, I knew nothing. So one of my friends actually, how I got started was from those meets, right? You meet like-minded people, you meet really awesome people. I have the best guy friends I've ever made in my life through this. And one of those friends was like, let's take it to the next level. Like, I found this track event. I'm going to go. I think you should go. And I was like, absolutely, I'll go with you. And I went. I didn't have proper pads. I didn't do anything to prepare it. So
common newbie's mistake.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
You don't know any different.
It held up, so thankfully, but debatable, because down the line, it was always pretty good on the track. But then down the line, I started having an engine issue, so I actually had to replace the short block. So I was like, all right, I'll upgrade. I'll go like IAG engine, short block, and try and get more power out of it. But after that, it became less about getting crazy with mods and just getting more reliable. So after I did that, I was like, all right, I think I need to look at something a little bit more reliable. And when you're tuning and you're doing all of these mods, you're really cranking power out of an engine that maybe isn't supposed to have that much power. And so I think when it came to seeing how much money I was spending on that, I almost wanted to revert back and just give me a stock vehicle. Just give me something that's going to last. And maintenance, you're always doing maintenance on a car, but you choose, right? You choose how much
you go from doing maintenance every few months, changing oil every few months, changing brake pads every year,
right?
Or tires every 2 years. You're worried about the 30,000 mile warranty to changing oil every weekend,
right?
Changing tires every 2 weekends, right? Like and I think that's a common misconception with new drivers that are coming in, right? They think that they have to have the most horsepower, the fastest car, but they miss what you talked about mainly is the race pads, right? They don't ever put .4 fluid and they're still running factory brake fluid. Right. Nobody thinks about changing their brake fluid that doesn't go to the track a lot, and overheating it and burning it up. So when they show up, they have this either monstrous fast car that's beautiful, and they quickly learn, right, that, hey, when you have a Miata coming up behind you, that's like the saying, right? Miatas are like the little bees that don't go away. When you have a little 120 horsepower Miata, then you have a 500, 600, 700 horsepower Corvette or Camaro or even Viper or whatever it is, right? And this little guy just won't leave it, and you're wondering what is going on. And I think that the more time you spend, which isn't always a bad thing, right? You love your car. We all love our cars different ways. And that's what we know coming in. Oh, we're going to race. It's going to be fast. But you progressively gain that experience of saying, you know what? I'm happy with the 180 horsepower, 200 horsepower E36 or the 1990 Miata, or because they're just fun cars to drive.
Absolutely.
And I think you stacking onto that and progressively getting better skills, getting better adequated with the tracks, learning how to take tracks, because that all ties in too, right? Learning how to read corners, learning how to do all this stuff. And it comes with time, and you can slowly progress into a Viper, into a Corvette, even into, like the new M2s. Like I have a new M2 that's 600 and some horse. You can progressively get into that, but now you have the skills that come with it, right? And you understand how to use that. Right. So in your case, I personally think that the E36 is hands down the best chassis, right? It handles great, brakes great. Right. It's essentially a Miata on steroids. That's what it is. It's a Miata on steroids. So when you went to that, I think it was a good choice to get away from the Subaru. You still have it. You still drive it. It's still a beautiful car.
Best daily. But having fun on your everyday drive to work, you could just punch it and get that thrill.
And it still looks good, right? So you can still go to the Cars and Coffees. You can still do all that. But now you have what I would consider your dedicated track car. Yes. That is still street legal, but it's more transition toward it. And it is track prepped, right?
Yes. And that was always the goal, was to, I thought about, I think I was at Watkins Glen one day with the Subaru, which was like the last ever track event I did with the Subaru, and the charge pipe was popping off. It was having a high idle RPM issue, the things that can go wrong with these kinds of cars that are turboed and tuned and all of that. And that's what I would always tell myself was, if something went wrong here with this car, I'm still driving that car back home. 100%. I'm gonna be stuck. Something's, if something goes wrong, I'm screwed basically, right? So the goal after a few track days in my mind was, I have to get a dedicated track car. And something like the E36, it's, especially being an older car, it's still very sought after, but it's still in the price range. And it's such, like you said, it was the best decision because it teaches you much better skills, I think. You're back at the basics. You're not flying with all of this horsepower. You're, like they say, right, smooth is fast. You're learning how to properly drive with a car that's not going to be too much for you. It's just really just right. You're
spending more time learning how to drive, not learning how to drive the car. Right. You're honing your skills on being a good driver.
Yes.
Not trying to tame the car or letting the car fix your mistakes. It's the common thing right now is everybody wants GT4 RSs or GT3 RSs. Beautiful cars.
Yes, myself included. Yeah, it's the dream. super expensive vehicles. Yes. But they have so many nannies that it's hard to mess up. Yeah. Right. And when I shouldn't say that, right? It's not hard to mess up. That's true. You could always mess up.
It's hard for the car not to fix your mess ups.
Right.
Right. So you can go out and you can tear it up and you can look like you're super fast, but are you really learning?
Right.
You're not, in my opinion, learning how to be a better driver.
Right.
And the E36, I think, does that. It's just an all-around good car.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's the nannies and stuff. It's obsolete, right? You're learning to handle the vehicle.
Right.
You're learning weight transfer or slip angle and all this stuff that I don't think you learn in an RS as a new driver.
Right.
Now, as an experienced driver and coming in and turning all that stuff off, right, and going out there, yes, now you're learning that, but as a new driver, you're specifically told, right?
Yeah.
Don't turn off the nannies, right? Because it's going to end bad.
Yes.
It's not going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
So I think that your choice towards that was a great choice. I think it's an awesome car. That's why I got one, and I'm happy to see you progress with that.
Yeah.
Is that something you're going to stay with?
Yeah.
For the long haul?
I think so. I mean, once I went to the dark side, German car. I love it. I wouldn't go back. People ask me, but it's not as fast as your other car. Don't you want something faster? And it's like, I'm very happy where I'm at right now. Who knows? Who knows what changes in the future? But this car, every time I drive it, I get more and more satisfaction out of it. And that's something that I'd like to stick with, just because when you feel so planted, you feel so solid with a car, you feel like the inputs are doing exactly what you want. And don't get me wrong, going from all-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive, I was feeling that slip out, that sliding, and I was I'm not used to that. But the more and more I get used to it, the more and more I appreciate it. And every time I'm out on track, it's just that adrenaline, that passion. It's such a great car. It's any track, it's more of a momentum car, of course, building the speed. And you're right, on the straights, the cars with all the nannies are gonna fly right by you, and that can be a little like, oh well, damn,
that sucks.
They just completely I can't keep up with that. But there's so much satisfaction out of being really precise and really just handling turns so well, which is like we were talking about the octopus one day, right? Some people hate the octopus. I actually love the octopus because I'm able to get right up in there, whereas maybe other cars are coming out and go in, but I'm like passing them. And that's what's even more rewarding in my mind is I'm coming up on a Porsche or I'm coming up on 100%. Something much faster, just like the Mazda, the Miata that you're saying. There's so much joy and pleasure in passing maybe something that seems like it would pass you all day long, but your
watching
skills,
your face melt.
Yes.
You're literally watching their face melt as you go by. And they're wondering
that
why.
Just passed me and a girl just passed me. That's another thing, right?
Yeah. 100%. So you say the octopus, so people don't know that's New Jersey,
yes.
right? Thunderbolt.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a fan of the octopus.
I am a fan.
I personally am not a fan of the octopus.
I don't think we'll agree on that.
But I can kind of see where you're coming from. Yes, being able to come through there. I personally like the other track better, Lightning. And I like shorter tracks like that. That's cool. Unless we start talking about Watkins Glen. Obviously, I love Watkins Glen. Not because we live by it, but because I think it's an awesome track.
No.
And so what would be, I guess, let's say your top 3 tracks, right? If you had to choose, let's put it in perspective of a beginner even.
Okay.
If you're just starting out, now that you've been around in a bunch of different tracks, for a new person coming in, what would be the first 3 tracks you say, hey, you've got to do these tracks? Yeah,
definitely NJMP. I got my start at NJMP. I did Lightning first. I did Thunderbolt next. I did... Those were not even the closest tracks to me, but I think kind of the most well-known to get your start on. And I think they're great tracks. Like you're saying, they're a little bit smaller of tracks, but they still have those turns, those kind of few technical turns that you need to approach right. And that teaches you a lot, I think, going through tracks like that. Good straightaways, so you have every little piece of what you need to learn the basics. So I would say definitely those are a good start. I think Lime Rock's closer to me being in New York. That's probably the closest track to me. But again, I didn't get to Lime Rock until a little bit later on. That track is nice and small, so you can really learn the track very quickly. But it's still, you talk to some of the best drivers, and they're still trying to perfectly master Lime Rock.
Struggling with Lime Rock.
Yeah. So I would say that.
When you start doing sub 1 minutes at Lime Rock, you're moving.
Right.
You're going pretty fast, right? So it's a tiny, tiny track, but it's very, very technical. Yeah.
And I wouldn't even say, as a beginner, don't even look at the times, right? Because that can kind of throw you off or drive you crazy. Just focus on learning the track, getting the skills, and the time comes later. I'm curious sometimes to see the time. I don't always keep track of the time though. Sometimes I'll set it up on my phone and put a little app on. I don't have any crazy high-tech gear to keep track, but it's cool to see, am I improving? Am I am I making a decision here that's making me a little bit faster and a little bit smoother? So just as a beginner, I'd say just have fun with it. Just go learn the track, learn the skills, and that kind of stuff comes later.
Yeah, and DEN isn't really necessarily even about the times, right? It's truly just to go out and have a good time.
It is, absolutely.
Have a good time, hang out. So let's talk a little bit now that you're soloed out now, right? And when we say soloed out, it means that you don't have a coach that rides with you anymore unless you want one.
Yes.
So you're past that. You've tested out. You moved on. So what makes HOD, I guess, better or even worse than other clubs with our coaching, right? Because we bring 30, 40 coaches to every event, right? And whether we need them or not, we have 30, 40 coaches there waiting.
Yep.
And we have, I feel, pretty rigorous plan or schedule on how our drivers become coaches, right? Because you can be a really good driver and not become a coach.
Right.
Or you can be a really lousy driver and be the best coach in the world.
Yeah.
So, and we send our coaches through training and everything to try to, so where do we sit? Where do you feel our coaches benefited you? Do you feel that maybe it wasn't beneficial for you to have a coach? Like where do you sit with a coach sitting right seat with you, talking in your ear while you're on track?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question because when I was starting out, I didn't think I could move on without a coach. The coach was like my safety blanket. The coach taught me so much, was talking me through everything, was encouraging to me. And that's what you want in a coach, of course, but you need to get to that point where you're like, okay, I can go on my own and remember what you've taught me. And I think what stands out with HOD is that the coaches have been through this training. They know when to talk to you, when to be in your ear, when to hold back and not say anything. Maybe you're doing something really great and they hold off for a while. They don't say anything. And then they'll say, I hope you know I wasn't talking to you because I'm watching you and you're doing everything you should be doing. I'm not going to add anything to that.
Right.
But when you need them, they're telling you how to improve. And that's what I love. Even being soloed out, I'll still every so often ask for a coach to jump in with me, because I always want to improve. I want to see, yes, maybe I've come this far, but there's still farther to go. And that's why a coach, especially a trained coach, they can really help you do that. They can help you reach certain goals that you have. One of the biggest things for me is I like blip to downshift, and I don't have heel toe down. It's like the biggest thing that I want to learn. So I've sat with a coach and they showed me, this is, we just parked on the side of a track and they showed me how to put my feet. They, I didn't, yet master or apply it on the track, but those kinds of things, any goal that you have, anything that you want to learn, these are people that went through training, that have a whole set of experiences that can only add to what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish.
To the experience.
Yes. And to go the other way, I've had some coaches that were just not great coaches in other organizations. So that you see right away, like who's helpful, who is not, who is making you stressed or making you nervous. And I have never had that experience with HOD. Everyone is so professional that it's just like, sometimes people get nervous when someone's sitting next to them, and it's sometimes counterproductive because they're thinking about it too much. Sure. And, there's another presence here, like I have to do everything right or anything. It can play with your head a little bit, but all of the coaches at HOD, I have felt extremely comfortable having them sit next to me, and they do know the proper times to say things. They do know exactly how to help you because they've been there, they've been through it. And that's a piece that I always welcome and I really appreciate.
That's really good. And not to touch on, but being a woman in a male dominant sport, I mean, it's still male dominant. We're trying to break that, but so you even have more, I feel you have more pressure on you of not necessarily trying to prove yourself, but I guess showing that you belong, right? Like I belong, I'm here too. We're all the same. And I personally feel that at HOD, we're trying to beat that male dominance out, right? Nope, it's everybody's welcome, young, old, female, male. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just you're welcome. Come and have fun and enjoy it. And I think I've seen over the last year and a half, 2 years, progressively more female coming into the sport, wanting to get behind the wheel, and even if it's just initially coming with their husband, right, or just coming to watch, and being like, hey, I see Sam. She's out there. She's out there driving. I mean, why can't he or Mandy or any of our female drivers of like, hey, she's out there. Like, I can do this.
Absolutely.
So if you were a female coming into this, what would be your info to them, right? What would you tell them? What would help to ease that nerves of like, I don't want to show up and just be like the outcast?
I would say, don't even worry about that. I think, there's something so empowering about just in life in general, right? No matter who you are, if you're nervous about something, they say that's when you should jump in, right? Take those nerves and convert that to the adrenaline and the excitement of doing something that you've never tried before, or getting really good at something that interests you. So I would say, don't worry about, whatever stereotypes you've heard. This organization in particular is, in my opinion, such a great place to just come in as a new learner, as a female driver. You're not going to feel unwelcomed. You're going to feel the opposite. You're going to feel comforted. You're going to feel supported. You're going to feel welcomed. And not only that is like you said, there's a lot more females who are coming into it, and there's some of the most amazing female driver coaches that I've had the pleasure to work with, and they're some of the best drivers I've ever seen. The skills that they have and the way that they coach, I think the job for coaches in general is to make your student feel comfortable, feel encouraged to do and to learn. And they have that. They definitely have that piece. And those female drivers encourage other female drivers, just like any of the coaches do. But coming in as a female, try not to let any of that kind of stereotypical nonsense that you've heard
shut you down.
Shut you down. Don't let it
there's-
stop you from doing what you want to do. Anything in life, you want to do something, you go after it, you do it. And especially
and a lot of these
here.
female coaches have been through those hurdles, right? And I would say before the transition of females coming in at a more dominant rate,
right?
You know, they went through it when maybe they weren't welcome, you know, with other people. They fought through that. So I would reach out and say that probably that's why they're really good coaches and really good drivers, because they had to fight through that stigma, I guess you could say, of like that they're not welcome,
right?
But I think it's great that it's changing. Yeah. And I know from our aspect that we're trying to get you to become a coach in the future, right? So as you progress and we're coaching you and everything to try to groom you to be a coach for us as well. So it's good that you see that as in an old school female coach that comes up and is like, hey, you know, this is how we do it and this is how we drive and girl power, you know, and all that and pushing through. But you also have that male coach that he's on board with it too. He wants to see the same thing. He wants you to be at the same place. Yeah. So it's really good that it's going that way. And I think it's great that females are coming in. I think it's great that they're driving. I think and we want more of it. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's what we want. And at HOD, like you said in the very beginning, it's very family oriented, right? Yeah. So why, if you're coming with your husband to the track, why are you not driving? Yeah. You might as well drive too.
It's like the perfect date activity, right? Like, what could be better than that, honestly?
Sure, yeah, of course. And bring the whole family. There's also a stigma with the track or tracks in general that families aren't welcome. Right? It's the driver, or it's the driver and spouse, and that's what's happening. Right. No, we want the whole family.
Yeah. Right? And some of the best times are with other drivers' children and their pets. You know, the dogs are coming up to you and it's like the, you know, therapeutic kind of thing. The pets and everything. But no, even just other drivers' kids, your kids. I mean, your kids are awesome and they're so well behaved, but I see just them, you know, coming up to the car. They're interested, they're curious, and just kind of feeding that little curiosity. It's like, here, like, help me clear off my windshield. And they're so into it. Or seeing other drivers or other coaches' kids, they're now at the point where they can start driving, and I see them driving, and you see these kids are going to be even better than their parents. 100%. Just like, look at them. It's really nice. It really is that family environment. And you see people, you know, from registration to the classroom to the paddock, and it's so friendly. Everyone just builds each other up. It's never, you know, tearing anyone down. Oh, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be doing this, because I know HOD's not going to put up with that either. Kick you right out if you're going to be like that. So.
Well, at the end of the day, it's the future of the sport. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why any organization would ever not allow kids or push to have kids at their events. Right. It is literally the future of the sport. Yes. If you cut all that out, at the end of the day, there's not going to be anything left. Right. And I think we're at this turn in the next 5 years of a lot of these older drivers are retired. They're tired. They're done. Right. And even a lot of these older coaches, they're checked out. They're out of their cycle. And so to bring in this new era, to bring in this new rush of people, like, we got to keep it flowing somehow. We have to keep this atmosphere moving with everybody. It's like a cycle. You have to feed it. There can't be a block in the supply chain. Right. So, and the first spot with that is the kids. Yes. If kids are brought up in it in the very beginning, and that's what they know, they're going to be excellent. Yeah. When they get to the age of where they're driving or when they're coaching. Yeah, right? Absolutely. Because they can tell you the stories, or they can tell their student the stories of when they were 5 years old, running around the paddock and hanging out and crawling all over Sam's car and wiping the windshield down, right? I seen the picture with my kids on your hood wiping the windshield off. Like,
best pit crew. Goals.
And that's the stuff they talk about. I know for sure from my kids, they go to school. That's what they're talking about. Yeah. They're talking about the weekend they spent at the track with the cars that they saw, and even goes into not really even the cars they saw on track or whatever, but they're talking about the time they spent in the RV with their friends watching a movie, or they're running around with the spray bottles and stuff like that. Like they're just creating that atmosphere of wanting to be there, right? They want to go to the next event. They want to be around it. They want to, and that's because we're all friendly.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, if there was a grumpy old man who's like, oh, get away from me, you pesky kid, you know, I'm trying to do stuff or whatever, it would strike that down, and it would scar them.
Yeah.
And we don't allow that. I mean, everybody's welcome, kids, dogs, like it is literally a family. We have a huge cookout, you know, always on the weekend where everybody's invited.
Yeah.
And that's really more to just camaraderie with each other, right? It's
absolutely.
We all love cars.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we love cars.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think, you know, if you want to get into like the technicalities of marketing and how you're, you know, drawing people, it's just being genuine, right? It's being available to someone who maybe it is their first time. And I remember my first time. I remember the first time I came up to the registration table with HOD, and I think Courtney, you know, your wife, she commented on my bracelets, like a little thing like that. I was like, oh, she's so nice, you know. That's the kind of stuff that keeps people. It's the way that you make people feel. They will always remember that. So this kind of organization, just being constantly positive, being readily available to help people and support people, that's what makes it so successful and runs so smoothly.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
So now that you touched a little bit on registration,
yes,
that is what you handle.
Yes.
With HOD. You have done some pit out work, you've done some staging work and register. So what do you feel you enjoy the most? If you were to pick, right?
Yeah.
If you were to say, it's open slate, do you want to do registration? Do you want to do pit out? What do you enjoy the most working on?
I gotta choose registration. I'm such a people person. It's funny, I wasn't always like that. I was always super shy, like growing up. But, you know, the more that you interact with people and the friendships that you make, what makes registration so cool is that you literally meet every single person coming in, right? So you're learning everyone's names, you're seeing all the faces, what I like to do is kind of, you know, talk to them a little bit while we're doing the process, while we're signing you in. You know, why can't that be enjoyable too? Sure. So kind of get to know people, make comments on things about them, and they'll tell you about themselves. You see the smiles on their faces, crack a joke. Why does registration have to be, you know, boring? Lame. It doesn't.
Lame.
It's actually very fun. And that's why I would choose, you know, registration. Everyone that I work with, you know, Courtney, we're side by side. We're constantly, you know, making jokes about stuff, or we're laughing at little like technical difficulties.
Gotta make fun of it.
Yeah, you have to, right? And then you move on from that and you get better and better. And we have last time she had a tablet, I had a laptop, and the lines were moving quicker, and you adapt and you get better at all this stuff. But that's what's the most fun part, is just being part of this, learning everyone, because then I'm also a driver, right? So I'm not just registration. Then you'll see me on the track with you. You'll see me in the classroom with you. So it's a very humanizing, personable kind of role. Yeah,
you're just not the person behind the table at the front that sits there all day.
Yeah,
right? You're
I understand. Yes, I understand what you're in for and what you're going through too.
So there's a lot of work to registration.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and a lot of people don't see that.
Yeah.
They come up to the table, they check in, and they're on their merry way, right? And have a good day.
Right.
But there's a lot of work that goes into registration, that goes into even getting the stuff unloaded and set up.
Yep.
And as you hit the technical difficulties, right? There's always issues on computers you're never going to beat that. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I think you and Courtney make a great team of getting people through. And even if the experience isn't great, if you come up and your waiver's not signed and you have to take a picture of yourself and stuff, and which is kind of irritating to some drivers, it's turning it around and being like, hey, we know it sucks.
Yeah.
We know it stinks that you have to do this, but you know what? We'll make the best of it. It is what it is. There's nobody getting upset. And it's moving forward with it. And that even leads into pit out and staging. You know, those guys are policing the chin straps and policing the seat belts and the wristbands. Are you in the right class? But that's all the stuff that you need to be a respected and fun organization to be with, right? If it was all loosey-goose and nobody cared, you know, if somebody goes out with their chin strap undone, they get in an accident on the track and their helmet comes off.
Right.
Well, why wasn't that looked at?
Right.
Why? And I know there's a bunch of organizations that don't check that stuff.
Right.
They don't care.
Right.
Go out and have fun. Do whatever you want to do, right? But we take the extra step. Like, no, we're safe.
Yeah.
We're making sure. The classrooms, you touched on classrooms. We have hired instructors for classroom time. A lot of organizations don't do classroom, right? It's you get your coach that could be Joe Smo, you don't even know who it is, right? And you might get 3-4 coaches a day, like whatever. You go out there and you drive and you leave and nobody even remembered you were there.
Yeah.
But with us, it's no, you're coming in the classroom, you're going through slides or what happened, you know, the downloads, what we call downloads at the end of every run. What happened out there? You know, what's people seeing? And another thing we do that's a little different than most is we do the orientation labs.
Yep.
So if you're a novice with a coach, you get with your coach, no helmets, no anything, right? And you spend 25, 30 minutes literally driving around the track at 50 miles an hour, talking about the track.
Yeah.
Talking about the lines, talking about where to brake at and all stuff that you don't have time to do on your first session.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So and I know you go out every orientation time.
I do. I still do, especially at a track that I've never been to. I think that's key. Just, you know, people would do a track walk, you know, if they could on a track, or just those orientation laps. You're learning it. You're not going to, you know it exactly, of course, but that's your first taste of it. And sometimes you need that, right? You don't want to just be shoved out there and said, all right, go ahead,
luck.
you got this. So like, no, I think I'd like a little introduction first. And that's what it's really perfect for. Yeah,
I think that'd be great. So we talked about what tracks are best for the beginner. Now, what track is the best for you, period? What's your all-time track? And tell me, there has to be a good reason.
Yes, I'll be completely honest. I'm not going to hold back here. So I was super crazy and I went to VIR, and I don't have a trailer. I don't have anything. I just drove all the way to VIR in my car that I was going to be tracking, and it was so worth it. It was like 10 plus hours, something crazy like that. But that is my all-time favorite track is VIR, Virginia. And it has to be because of all of the elevation changes on that track. The uphill S's are my all-time kind of favorite spot on a track to be on. I think as a beginner too, you know, you try and go to tracks that are in somewhat reasonable distance from you, but once you get into it, you start really getting that like hunger for, oh, let me do something crazy. Let me go to like this track that's well known that everyone seems to love. I still love to go to a bunch of other states. It's the logistics are kind of hard sometimes, but you know, I went to VIR. It was everything and more. It was just the best track in my mind. I still think about and dream about that track. I'd love to go back.
Are you going to go back?
I hope so. Yeah.
Good.
I hope. Yeah. It's
a track in the middle of nowheres.
Yeah, but it's just I still like look at the footage sometimes that I have of that track. Just I don't know. It's one of the most perfect tracks. Not that I've been to like so many tracks that I can say that. Like I'm sure all over the United States there's maybe much better, but that is like the epitome of technical and I don't know, just the spots that you can just really go really fast in. And,
the backstretch.
Yeah, the backstretch.
Feels like it's never going to end.
Yes.
Just wide open for a long time.
Yes. So there's advice there, I guess, right? Like don't let a little distance hold you back. Some of these tracks are just, it's unforgettable. It's kind of like those core memories in life, right?
We're pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
For where we are, we're pretty fortunate for some iconic tracks, right?
Absolutely.
Watkins Glen, we're super close to. Virginia, I mean, it's a little bit, but it's still pretty close. I mean, 10 hours isn't the end of the world. Lime Rock.
Right.
It goes Pit Race, Summit. Like we're all... in the Northeast, we're right there.
Yeah.
Right. It's like we have all these tracks. I mean, really the track that sticks out to me the most that I wish was closer was Coda. Right. If Coda was closer, that would be great.
Yeah.
And for one, to see the Indy cars or see Ep1 and all that on it. But Coda, I think, is a great track to be. And I've only been around Coda in a van.
Wow.
So if that tells you anything, I've never even been able to drive it except for ride around in a van. And it is a great track. But I think where we are, we have so many tracks around us that are great, and VIR is like my number 2.
Yeah, and I mean Watkins Glen has to be my number 2. Just kind of similar stuff, right? Elevation changes, the uphill, the bus stop. It's so unique. It's so just great. Such a great flowing track. There's so much fun to be had at Watkins Glen.
Well, Watkins Glen and VIR. I mean, they're the same, right? I mean, that's why, right? You have the long backstretch. Yes. You have the S's. You have all that. And honestly, lap times are remotely the same also.
Yeah.
So that's Watkins is my number 1, VIR is my number 2. And it's like reverse, right? For you, the old switcheroo. But it's that same close walls, climbing through I love elevation changes. And one of the biggest elevation changes is Lime Rock, right? Yeah. Coming up the back of Lime Rock, the shelf. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But all those tracks like that they're great. Yeah. They're cool. And I would say that they're more of an advanced track. Those two are. But not to say you can't learn on them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool.
Absolutely.
I think we take a lot of that for granted.
Yeah.
In our area, right? We get spoiled with it. We're used to it. It's what we expect.
Right.
But a lot of people, we have with HOD, we have people traveling across the country to come to these tracks.
Right.
And to have that in our area, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're spoiled. What can I say?
We are very spoiled.
No, it's great. It is.
So off the track, the day's done. What does your evenings look like after a track day? What do you do? You go back and sleep in the hotel? Do you go and drink 5 cases of water because you're dehydrated?
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess I never realized, right? Like you do a track day, just how exhausting it is. Like there's so much adrenaline pumping. There's so much wear on your body that you may not even be aware of at the time. So at the end of the day, you kind of start feeling that like, okay, I'm pretty tired. I'm pretty exhausted. I usually get a hotel. Most recently it's been nice because of all of the friends that I've made. I remember I stayed at such a horrible hotel once, and of the friends I made at the track were like, why would you do this? But there's really great people around to go get dinner with, go get food. I think almost every track day, you meet someone new, you make new friends, like-minded people who are just really awesome company to be around. So it's like the barbecues that we have. It's, you get that opportunity to, you're off the track, but you're still with these really awesome, fascinating people who you can learn a lot from. You can realize that you have a lot in common with. So that's one of the best things too. It's not just the driving, it's all of the people, it's the afterwards, it's, those conversations. It's now, I used to stay at hotels by myself, and now I'm able to stay with a friend that I made that was also recommended, that I would get along with from other people. And it was perfect. We hit it off. We got along so well. So now there's, someone to partake in, lodging with, but also fun and
helps with cost,
saving
too.
Money. That's another thing. So probably the number one.
And you meet so many different spectrums of people, right? I mean, it's the driving community and car community and track community is massive. I mean, it can go to where you work at a school to a person that owns a multi-million-dollar company to a person that is just getting their license, right? And flipping burgers, maybe it is, or whatever, and just getting into it. And it doesn't matter where you're at in life. When you're at the track, everybody's the same. Right?
Absolutely.
And nobody cares. You could make the most money in the world and you could make the least money in the world.
Yeah.
You could drive the most expensive car that is at the track, or you could drive the Lemons car that you just brought in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
With a turtle on
with
top
a turtle
of it.
on the roof, right? Or lights that don't. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When we're at the track, everybody's loving the time, right? And you could park, you know, your 2012 GTI right beside the brand new GT4.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter.
Nope.
Nobody cares.
Nope.
Like,
not at all.
That's
Just get in here.
Right. And that's what I think is so cool about it, is that there's so many different ranges of life. There's so many different ranges of wealth. There's so many different ranges of people and of cars. And when you're there, let's look back at Poconos, right?
Yeah.
We were at Poconos earlier this year. And there was a guy that came in an old Monte Carlo, right? And we rarely see vehicles like that on the track. And when he pulled in, I thought it was the coolest thing that this guy is bringing a Monte Carlo, right, to Poconos to run on the track. An older guy, his wife bought him the weekend, right? He's always wanted to do it. And he had an old Monte sitting, you know what I mean? And it's like the people, and mind you, he was slower on track, right? But it didn't matter. Everybody loved seeing that car go around that track.
Absolutely.
Like, it was cool. It was awesome to see that. And that right there told me I was doing something right. And we were doing something right as a company, right? If we can have a car like that comes in, and that guy leaves happy as could be, thought the experience was awesome, and he's out there driving with brand new Lamborghinis, and the guys that own the Lamborghinis and the Porsches and all that stuff are going up and talking to him about his car and how cool it is to see him out there. That is neat.
Yes,
I mean, that is
absolutely.
And that shows it does not matter.
It doesn't, not at all. I mean, I think that's one of the best things too, is to see a variety, right? Who wants all the same? Who wants like just a track event just full of Porsches? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure that's really cool. But like, there's one of the instructors I had a Mini, someone else had, you know, a BMW, someone had a Subaru, which is of course near and dear to my heart. And it's just like, that is probably one of the best things, the variety, talking to people, learning things about other cars. One of my most favorite things is riding along with other people. If you know, can handle that, if you don't get queasy, if you like that, I welcome that. I'm a big like roller coaster, adrenaline kind of junkie. So just feeling someone else's car and how they drive, all of that in combination too, that's one of the most exciting things. Who gets the opportunity to just jump in a car, you know, spend a weekend just jumping in all different drivers' cars, and then you're able to go back wherever, you know, your everyday life is and tell people like, listen to what I did this weekend, and you can do that too. Just come on and then jump in a car. It's so open to everyone. And
you don't even have to be part of the event to do that.
No, you don't.
You can literally find us where we're at, show up, and say, I want to ride. I want to feel what it feels like. I want to ride with somebody, and we'll put you in a car.
Yeah. And that driver is just as excited to have you in their
100%.
car as you are to jump in their car. You know, it's never like, oh, like I have to take this person. It's like, get in here, like hop in, come on, and sit in my car, you know, when it's parked, and check it out and get a feel for it. I had a kid actually do that. He was a beginner driver starting to get into the track and was with his dad, and they were looking at my car like, oh, wow, like maybe this is something that I want to start out with. And I was like, hop in, you know, turn it on and see if you like it. It's really supportive in that sense too.
And with bikes at Poconos, we had a bike crew come in that they run on track on bikes, and it's crazy how different they said it is, you know, and not that we're stealing bike riders, but you know, he said, I'm going to go get one. Like, I'm doing this. Like, I'm switching over to a car. This is awesome, you know? And it was cool speaking with him, because he was a instructor for motorcycles on track. And he brought up the same thing you did earlier, that like our structure of coaches and the way we're coaching and the way he goes, we could utilize that on our side. Right. So it's like, we're not only, I'd say, leading the path with that, we're more than welcome to spread it out. Like, hey, there's no secrets. This is how we do it.
Right.
If you can do it, because it's making all of us better.
Yeah.
Right. So it was cool seeing that aspect of a bike rider coming in and taking a ride and being like, wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Right.
The same way with that, we have a Watkins Glen event coming up July 4th, 5th, and 6th, and we have drift cars. Well, I can tell you right now that the drift cars are given ride-alongs, and the drift car drivers are just as excited to be drifting to hop in our cars and ride with us on track. Because it is a completely different. You would think like, oh, going sideways around the corners and all their adrenaline's flying like crazy, right? But they hop in one of our cars and go out with us, and they're like, you guys are crazy. Yeah. And we get in their cars and we say, you guys are crazy. Like that's.
Even those little differences, right? From say like autocross to like on a smaller track to these large track events that are, like everyone I'm sure has their preferences, drifting, autocross, bikes, cars, but it's another, like when you really like this kind of stuff, like cars in general and learning and honing skills, that is the best thing, to spread that kind of passion and interest across different levels, right? Like there's always something new to step foot in and always something new to try and master.
And that bleeds out into your everyday life.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't tell me you don't go to work after a weekend and you're not talking to coworkers about what you did.
Yes.
I mean, and we actually had one of your coworkers' husbands, right?
Yes.
At one of our events.
That's right.
And that's what it does. It's like, oh man, she goes home, she talks to her husband, you gotta, what Sam did over the weekend, you gotta experience that. So now it's like, you know what I mean? So that bleeds out through. And
it does. And it's surprising too, because some people you talk to, you would have no idea might be interested in this, and them hearing that you do it and it's something that's in reach and it's achievable. I think one of our like financial managers at my job, it's a woman who, has worked there for many years, a more seasoned kind of worker there. And I was telling her about my track experiences. She loves NASCAR. Her and her husband love NASCAR. I'm like, cool. All right, well, come on next time, come and bring your husband and let's have a good time.
A lot of people don't even know that you can do this.
Yes, and that's part of the reactions, right? That some people can be shocked, like, what? Like you're doing that, and you can do that. I can do that too. It's pretty empowering, and that's what I tell people. Like, you maybe in your mind, I don't know, like the stereotype kind of stuff, but just you could do anything you put your mind to, not really to sound cheesy, but like just if I can do it, anyone else can do it, 100%. Right?
And it's super, super easy to get into.
Yes.
A lot of people think that there's this big bubble around getting on racetracks, right? Like, oh, you got to be a pro driver. You got to have tons of money. You have to have corporate sponsors. You have to know somebody to get into the sport. When you don't. Yeah. Like, it is super, super easy. You do what you
can, right? Just like when I started out, I had nothing. I had nothing on the car prepared. And I still went out there. I learned. I had a good time. I took it easy. It was my first time. But that just propelled me into this most amazing hobby that is just one of the most joyful and pleasurable things in my life. And I would have never had that if I didn't just go and do it.
And I think that's the best part of that experience, right? Is you come into it not knowing. Yeah. And I think that the best slate is a blank slate. Yep. Right? You come into it not knowing what to do. You enjoy the weekend. Who cares if you're fast or not fast or whatever? You enjoy the weekend, and now you've learned, right? So at Poconos, we had a young kid come in with a Jetta, and he asked every single coach he came across, like, what do I need to do to my car? What do I need to do to my car? Do I need to lower it? Do I need suspension? Do I need better tires? Do I need exhaust? Do I need intake? And every coach told him the same thing. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Drive the car, learn the car, get to know the car, and move forward, right? Like, you don't need to do any of that. No. Have some good brake fluid.
Yes, have the safety things checked, definitely. Yes.
Yeah, like it's, you don't have to have the fastest car in the world to come enjoy a track day. No. Sign up. Yeah. Just sign up, come out and have fun. Yes. Learn what it is. And then if you decide, hey, you know, that was really cool, maybe I want to buy the brake pads.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to change the, maybe I want to get the better tires. And you can progress into that. But it's not like, oh, shoot, I'm going to go out on track. I have to buy all this stuff because, you know, Google told me I had to, right? That's, or whatever. It is literally for everybody.
Yes, it's like you said, it's a common misconception. Like, I have to do this, I have to do that. That was like the epitome of me and my Subaru. I was like, oh my God, I need to tune it for 885. I need to be faster. I need to have this part. I have to have that part. But honestly, just getting out there and just driving, that's all you need. All that other stuff comes later, right? You get better and better. Maybe you want to be faster. Maybe you want to do this that feels better on the track. But, you know, what you got is the education. That's the biggest thing. And I've learned so much just from people and the experience of having my car on the track. I never knew about, like you said, the changing the fluids and what track pad is better than this one or the other one. And everyone there kind of has helped me with that and has taught me so much about that. The classroom sessions, right? What are the safety things that you need? I never knew, you know, jumping from the Subaru to the M3, that with those harness seatbelts, I had to have a Hans device. And I, you know, these kinds of things that safeguard you for having a successful track event. Those are the most important things. That's the advice I'll give. Get your safety in check and worry about all the other fancy stuff later.
Be safe.
Yes.
Don't skimp out on the safety.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
A good helmet.
Good helmet.
I mean, that's like number one for starting out. Definitely. You want a good helmet. Don't cheap out on a helmet. Get a good helmet. Yeah. Something that's comfortable, something that's light, feels good, and then come out and have a good time. Yeah. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want you to come and have fun. Yes. We don't care if you're fast. We don't care if you're slow. We don't, come out, have fun. Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Thank you
for coming down. I know it's probably a little bit of a drive for you, but I appreciate that. And yeah, we'll just keep on pushing the, you know, the younger generation and people, getting them come in. And if you had one bit of advice to close on, what would be your, you've given a lot of advice today.
Yeah, that's true.
So what would be your number one, this is my advice to close out the episode of this is what I think?
Yes. Number one advice, I think we probably already mentioned it, is just do it, right? Like Nike, just do it. Just come. Honestly, if you're nervous, if you're scared about being on track, or you don't think you'll be accepted, you will be accepted, and you will meet people who care to get to know you and get to know what you want to learn and what you want to achieve. It's purely fun. It's purely educational. Whatever thoughts you have in your mind that are convincing you not to do it, throw that out and do it, please. You're gonna stumble upon a hobby that is unlike really anything else, and it's just the best kind of joy.
I think that's good. I think you're gonna find a new family.
Yes, that's a new family, awesome friends. It's the best kind of environment.
Cool. Well, thank you again for coming. I appreciate it. And I think that's going to wrap up our first episode.
All right. Awesome.
Great. Thanks.